White pawn marches to d4. Black pawn marches to f5. White knight marches to f3. Black knight marches to f6. White bishop marches to g5. Black pawn marches to d6. White knight marches to d2. Black knight marches to d7. White pawn marches to e3. Black pawn marches to e5. White pawn captures pawn at e5. Black pawn captures pawn at e5. White bishop marches to c4. Black pawn marches to h6. White bishop retreats to h4. Black pawn marches to g5. White bishop captures pawn at g5. Black pawn captures bishop at g5. White knight captures pawn at g5. Black knight marches to b6. White knight marches to f7. Black queen captures knight at d2 and gives check. White queen captures queen at d2 and breaks check. Black knight captures bishop at c4. White queen marches to c3. Black king captures knight at f7. White queen captures knight at c4 and gives check. Black bishop escapes check at e6. White queen captures pawn at c7 and gives check. Black bishop escapes check at e7. White queen captures pawn at e5. Black rook moves sideways to c8. White pawn marches to c3. Black knight marches to g4. White queen moves sideways to b5. Black pawn marches to a6. White queen captures pawn at b7. Black rook moves sideways to b8. White queen captures pawn at a6. Black rook captures pawn at b2. White kingside castling. Black rook captures pawn at h2. White queen moves sideways to c6. Black rook retreats to h6. White rook moves sideways to b1. Black rook moves sideways to d2. White rook marches to b7. Black bishop marches to d5. White queen marches to d7. Black rook moves sideways to e6. White rook retreats to b5. Black knight captures pawn at e3. White rook moves sideways to e1. Black knight retreats to g4. White rook moves sideways to f1. Black knight retreats to f6. White queen moves sideways to c7. Black rook moves sideways to e2. White pawn marches to c4. Black rook moves sideways to c6. White queen retreats to f4. Black bishop captures pawn at c4. White rook captures pawn at f5. Black bishop retreats to e6. White rook moves sideways to e5. Black bishop marches to d6. White rook captures bishop at e6. Black rook captures rook at e6. White queen marches to f5. Black rook marches to c5. White queen retreats to b1. Black rook moves sideways to h5. White resigns and black wins the game.